Welcome to Season 2 of ADHD Difference. I'm your host, Julie Legg, ADHD advocate, author of The Missing Piece, a woman's guide to understanding, diagnosing and living with ADHD, and an unapologetic doer of many things. This season, we're turning up the volume with a global lineup of brilliant guests, bringing their lived experiences, insights, research, strategies and resources. And of course, along with a healthy dose of humour and humility. Whether you're neurodivergent yourself or just curious, there's something here for every curious brain. Let's dive in. Today's guest is anything but ordinary. Ron Shuali is an author, motivational speaker, and the creator of Yogarate and behaviour mastery. With a wild mix of martial arts, improv and unfiltered humour, Ron brings drive, laughter and light bulb moments into every room he walks into. This is Unprofessional Development, and we're here for it. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Thank you.
Now, you've been called the Messiah of the mind and the bad boy of early childhood. And it suggests to me that someone who doesn't really follow the rule book. So I'd love to ask you, what did that journey of self-discovery look like for you?
It started apparently when I was 1 year young. My mother told me that when she tried to change the TV station on our TV in 1976, which if some of you remember, just as two buttons, she changed the channel. I apparently got up, changed the channel back, turned around and said, "I'm the boss," stomped my foot. And that's when my oppositional world kicked in. Everything inside me is just defiant towards everything. I don't know what it is. I feel like I have a certain clarity that I see things differently than other people. My wife and I see things amazingly, which is why we're both ADHD, meaning gifted, just magically aligned with each other. For me, my journey has been about understanding about the programming that's been programmed into me from government schools. People call them public schools, but we know what they really are here in the United States, absolutely. And just understanding, that there's the things that don't feel right, don't make sense, but we're told to, this is the way it is, this is the way it should be. I started creating a life that I wanted, that everything that was the norm, I would immediately do the opposite to see what happened, and most of the times it made more sense.
With your ADHD, I love that. Are you formally diagnosed with ADHD-G?
Oh yeah. I mean, my parents had me diagnosed by a psychologist, psychiatrist. I mean, I remember even as young as 4, 5. But the immediate Ritalin, Adderall thing, it didn't make sense. My nationality, my family's Israeli. I was born in Israel. My mother, while raising me, was a teacher at a school that was super, super tough, that she was getting yelled at, screamed at, harassed by students with knives and weapons. So she learned how to get those kids to somehow connect. I don't know how. But so that when it came to the American world here in 81, 82, like, at least she was very like, what do you mean you're going to medicate my kid? No, you work with them. You do what you have to do to figure out there's a challenge, there's a need, there's a deficiency, figure it out. What do you just want to zombify? No. And that was awesome. I mean, that was incredible that she just had the understanding, go like, but that's coming from an absolutely different world, as soon as you're out of high school, 3 to 6 months, you're in the military for 3 years. So you come into real life after 3 years of military.
Now, tell me how your career has developed. It's really interesting. How do you think your ADHD-G has assisted in your approach to your teaching and your performing? And you've got martial arts and you've got improv and you've got a whole bunch of things that you have brought with you to get to this point. Can you share a bit of info about that?
Yeah, for me, just doing whatever I want has always been just a really important thing. And then I discovered my inner child was running me for a long time, and I aligned with it and take it on. And whatever I want to do is whatever I wanted to do. I mean, when I was 12, I saw Hulk Hogan being interviewed, and I just saw him going, "Let me tell you something, brother. I'm at the roll to maniacs. You say your prayers," and I'm just like, I don't know what this is, but I want to do it. Like I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? I started martial arts. I started improv classes. I watched stand-up comedy since I was even younger than that. I started lifting weights. I started doing gymnastics. So it's like when I was interested in something, I would hyper focus for days. And then, but the problem is that I didn't have people around me that understood it. My dad's a computer engineer, so he understands like 9 to 5, 9 to 6. My mom is neurodivergent, but I don't think she ever learned about it, had people in her life to explain what it was. It was just, you're different and you're not supposed to be different, especially from her perspective and knowing my grandparents. So my whole world was just doing the opposite. So I mean, I was learning as I was going to college just to go to pro wrestling schools. I never wanted to go to college because college never made sense to me. I'm just like, wait, if I want to go to school for business, why don't I just go learn from businessmen? I mean, if a plumber goes to a plumber, an electrician goes to an electrician, and a mechanic goes to a mechanic, why don't I go work in a business to learn business, which is what I did after I dropped out of college the first time and the second time at a GNC nutrition store, learning how to be an assistant manager, and then at 21 doing real estate and learning the real world of real estate. I mean, I spent 40 hours in a real estate course knowing this is ridiculous, all these laws, all this NPC programming, and I sat at the office of the guy that hired me, number one real estate organization in New Jersey. First thing out of his mouth, forget everything you learned in real estate school. It's about for sale by owners expires being a listing agent. I mean, it's like I learned bartending at a bartending school, and then went to my first job and said, forget everything you learned in bartending school. You're only going to open beers and pour wine. So it's like, through life, I'm seeing all the school and the education is the horse poo designed to, I don't know, try to get money from you and lie to you to tell you that a degree or certificate is the only way. Where now it's beautifully, completely opposite. Like I love working with kids and teenagers, and I coach parents and teenagers and how to get out of American high school as fast as possible, get a mentor, homeschool, world school, unschool, micro school, so many options. And because I see that kids only have a certain path. Me, I've been oppositional about everything. I mean, I was teaching, what's it called, doing a karate birthday party. I was taught how to do karate by a husband and wife team where the husband was an elementary school teacher, wife was a preschool teacher. So I started learning how to teach kids karate. I'm doing a karate birthday party. A director comes up to me from a preschool and says, "You're great with the kids. Can you do this in a preschool? Do you have lesson plans and curriculum?" And I've already trained my brain, yes, and improv to go, absolutely, yes, and. Note to self, create lesson plans and curriculum. And then 2 months later, I go in there, I'm playing with the kids, I'm doing this, I'm loving it. It was super cool. And then I called up, it was a chain called the Goddard Schools. There's like 500 preschools. I'm sure you have preschool chains there. And basically, I called up the next school and said, "Hey, look, this school loves me. Here's a testimonial. Do you want karate?" Because I was doing karate with kids 24 months because the people that taught me, their words to me literally is, you're going to get a master's in education without the BS of all the theory and stuff that actually works in a classroom, which is insane, the opposite of what traditional education is. So I call up this another school and I go, "Do you want to do karate?" Like, "No, but do you do soccer?" So I'm like, "Yes, and." I'm like, "I do soccer, absolutely." Because I was always taught by them that I'm not teaching karate, I'm not teaching soccer, I'm teaching kids. And then the avenue that I go, so karate is to teach the vehicle, is karate to teach respect. And as I'm doing this deposit, I'm crying, going like, I just created something. Like this didn't exist. So anyway, fast forward 10 years later, I'm running a preschool enrichment company. We're in 80 different preschools. I have 15 instructors. I'm teaching Yogarate, which I created because I started doing yoga about a year before that. I was introduced to it, but a slow beautiful Raja, low impact 2 hours of stretching the fascia of the body and releasing trauma. Not a yoga class that's Americanized, you're doing big stuff. And I fell in love with yoga. And then I'm like, I want to create yoga and something karate together. Roof open, light went in, and I literally saw the words yoga, karate, and the K dropped off and the A dropped off, and it was Yogarate. I created a behavior system that really works and teaches people how to work with neurodivergent, exceptional kings and queens like me and like a lot of the kids that I love teaching. And now the government's preschools, and there's a preschool head start in every town, in every city, everywhere. It's insane because they understand that early childhood is the most important time of development when it comes to kids, not like high school, especially with phones now that they've zombified themselves. And now I'm talking to you.
That is awesome. Well, it's all interconnected. That's what I wanted to say. Look, I've been writing down some notes, Ron, and bringing it back to the ADHD traits, I guess. Your journey has been a culmination of a whole bunch of things. So I've written down no barriers, and that's something that I don't see barriers. If the drive is strong enough, you do it. So that's loud and clear. I've also got following your own path, and you did that at a young age, and maybe it's rebelling, maybe it's non-conforming.
It's authentic.
Absolutely. I've got interconnected too. I think that everything, you're here today and you're doing what you're doing today because of all of these beautiful things happened in your life, all coming together. It's not that you were trained in one thing and therefore felt, well, that's it, that's your life. Beautiful to hear. I've got entrepreneurism. And again, that's an ADHD thing if you allow it to happen. Yeah. And the last one on my list was impulsivity, because grabbing these moments, you truly encompass all of those beautiful ADHD traits. So yay you. And thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Awesome. So I want to ask about the now. You've done so much in these, in the decades leading up to right now. What's currently lighting your fire, or what's an idea that's brewing that you're going to jump on next?
So for educators and people that they've heard of the term professional development, which is what everybody has to take, whether you like it or not. Majority of professional development, there's a PowerPoint presenter on there. And I don't know, I've just learned that when a PowerPoint slide comes up there, it's like the soul of the person leaves the body. So what our whole goal is unprofessional development. It's literally just creating workshops, trainings, keynotes. I mean, one we did it at a water park. Another one we're going to do at a place where they have go-karts and places to sit and eat and just have fun and be silly and let the inner child out. So it's about creating opportunities that are fun because, this, it's if you try to learn something, it takes 400 or 500 times to do it if you're doing it like repetitions. But if you do it through play, the brain just goes into a play. Second play is activated. It's like, oh, cool. I want to learn about this. I want to learn about a new game. How's this? You walk into a casino. Now you want to learn about all these games, not when you're sitting on the computer. So we want unprofessional development to be huge. We have other speakers that I've met during my travels that I'm trying to get them to be more unprofessional in their keynotes and just do huge things. And then probably in about 5 years, I'm going to, when all the systems are set up, I want to start my stand-up comedy career. But I have a personality side of me that I let out in unprofessional development. It depends on the director. I just did 2 trainings over the weekend. One was a little more stiff. The other one, within a half hour, we're dropping the F-bomb. Some of my stuff gets really deep, but then I play a music video. I play a video of a Shiba Inu puppy having a 2-minute spa day, and they forget about it, but the seed's already planted. I eventually want to do stand-up comedy where I also open up their brains and then tell an inappropriate joke that has them just whatever, but the seed's planted. And then if they then think about this thing that I planted a month later, they take ownership of it, and all of a sudden, like things like understanding the dopamine system and understanding right and wrong. And when you say to a child, you get what you get, you don't get upset. Why are you being, aren't you listening to me? No, thank you. They don't understand that this dopamine system is running. And now after I work with them, I'm like, you can say to a child, you're not being a good listener, or you can ask a child, how can I help you understand my directions? Because being a good listener is like, what does listening have to do with following directions? But unfortunately, in our language, it's stupid. We took listening and following directions, we mashed it together to make it mean the same thing, and then never told the kids. So I want to do that on a larger scale, but also stand-up comedy.
Oh, that sounds an exciting future ahead in the not so distant future at all. I love the idea about this unprofessional development. You know, you talked about dopamine, and again, that's another ADHD thing. On that front, do you have an ADHD-friendly strategy that may seem unprofessional, but works really well, working for others or for yourself?
Yeah, let's do it right now. Okay, so our brains go often. We have, I mean, tell me about you, but I have multiple voices in my head. I have a voice that goes, you're still chubby, lose weight. I have a voice that goes, why are you being so mean to him? He's really healthy. He's had his blood test. And I have a third voice going, why are you always annoying him? Like all this stuff. So I'm going to give you a question. I'm just going to ask you to ask yourself a question in your brain. And then after you ask yourself the question, I'm just going to ask you what happened. Okay, so here we go. And this for people watching. Ready? Ask yourself this question in your brain quietly. I wonder what my next thought will be. What happened? Nothing. Oh, isn't it so nice? I don't know. It's nice for me when there's somebody not yelling at me. I mean, that doesn't sound like my mom's voice. But so what I've discovered, and here's the funny part too, is when I say discovered, I saw this on TikTok 2.5 years ago. One time, it came into my light, and then I've never seen anything like this ever again.
Ron, when would be a good time to practice this? What's your next thought?
Anytime. Literally, I mean, I do it all the time. When I feel myself be any way that I don't want to be, I wonder what my next thought will be.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant, Ron. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For someone who's listening, who's just beginning to realize that their brain is working a little bit differently than others around them or feeling overwhelmed, what would you like them to know?
You're an X-Men. You're an Avenger. We are the gifted. We are the ones that have the superpowers. We are the ones that can hyper-focus. There's nothing wrong with you. They don't understand you. They don't get us. Check out the YouTube video, The Disruptors, that has amazing people with ADHD-G that it just explains it's a skill set. Look into it, research it, understand that I can do nothing for a week and a half. I can sit and play video games for hours and days or whatever, and I just sit. And then there's times that I'll make myself wrong because I'm not being proactive. And then my wife has to remind me, didn't you just write a book? Didn't you just create an online course, 10 hours of it? Didn't you just do this? Didn't you just perform in front of 5,000 people? And then she says things to me like, are you mad that it's peaceful now? Like, isn't that your goal? And I'm just like, oh. So also, find somebody in your life that understands you. ADHD is great because we forget everything in 10 seconds. We don't fight. I've been with my love from day one. We met 4 years ago in June, and we don't fight because if you don't remember anything that just happened and you're just in love and joy and happiness and wonderfulness, yeah, then that's it. I just got to keep on finding the people and be authentic and listen to the universe and use your gifts and get mentorship from people like us that understand it and could guide you. You know, go do yoga, go do martial arts, do one or the other. Doesn't matter how young you are.
Ron, that was awesome. Brilliant words of advice. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me today on the show.